Yes, friends, Game of Thrones Season 4 has come to an end. This is going to be a spoiler warning because I'm going to talk about the season finale for Season 4. I might recap some of the stuff that's happened in Season 4 in general, but in the end, we're going to talk about this because it's the closure. You know me, I don't always make Game of Thrones videos, but I will make a video if it's something really worth talking about. Season finale of Season 4, and I like Season 4. So let's talk about that. But this is the episode, let's face it, this is the episode we've been waiting for all season pretty much, but definitely the past 2 weeks. This is the fate of Tyrion Lannister. I am pretty sure more people tuned in this episode than the OJ verdict. This is big. Like, I thought it was gonna be last week, then it was all the wall. It was a cool siege episode, but I was like, what's happening with Tyrion? But more than that, this episode broadened the spectrum of Game of Thrones. It took it from being just Game of Thrones to the Song of Fire and Ice saga. I tuned into this episode going, all right, what's gonna happen to Tyrion? And this episode concentrated on the North so much that I was like, yeah, that's really relevant shit, and I hope Tyrion walks and everything, but it's all the North right now. You feel like the magical going-ons in the North is a pretty important thing. Straight up though, that Bran Stark campaign and his whole crew and what they have to do, you know, stick together, and there's magic and there's skeletons coming after him. I was like, this reminds me of something out of Fire Emblem, that's it. Right down to the permadeath when a fake-looking skeleton hand stabs you in the stomach and you die, and now that dude who reminds me of Link from Legend of Zelda is no longer in the show, I guess. The fate of Tyrion Lannister, right? To be clear, that episode with the Viper versus the Mountain, yeah, that was cool shit. The Mountain has that dude on his back, he's like, oh, like this, and he crushes, and you see Chef Boyardee just, and everyone out there watching who hadn't read the books is like, oh, Tyrion Lannister is fucked. Hey, you guys were wondering why I didn't do a video on that, and that's just because I knew Tyrion would not die. Now, to be clear, I haven't read the books, and no one who has read the books told me Tyrion wasn't gonna die, but I knew Tyrion wasn't gonna die, and that's just kind of how my brain works. That's why I don't talk Game of Thrones a lot, except for a certain select amount of people. Because someone out there will say one thing that makes me go, wait, oh shit, that means this. Example, someone was talking with me about Game of Thrones, and I was talking about how awesome Tyrion is, and they were like, oh yeah, George R.R. Martin said Tyrion's his favorite character. And I was like, shit, Tyrion lives. He's going to live. It's gonna be the most unbelievable thing to happen in Game of Thrones, because if it were anyone else on trial that wasn't the author's favorite character, that dude would be dead now. But nope, so after the dude got his head crushed and everyone around me was freaking out and everyone online was freaking out, I was like, no big deal, it's just a guy who got his head crushed in Game of Thrones. This happens on Game of Thrones. A lot of people die. To me, it was never the fate of Tyrion Lannister being sealed. Is that a bummer? Yes, but again, that's why I don't talk Game of Thrones with a lot of people. There's actually another spoiler out there that I now know. To be fair, people who have read all the books don't actually know the answer to it, but someone said one thing. It was a conversation that George R.R. Martin had with somebody. Of course, it was for some odd reason, people need to fill me in on what the author talks about. Don't do that shit. And I was like, wait, that means this. And again, no one out there really has the answer except George R.R. Martin and a couple other people, I imagine. But one of my friends who has read the book was like, shit, I think you actually spoiled a part of the book for me. Because you were right. The outcome that that is what that means. That's right. Someone who has never read the books, who has only seen the show, has ruined an aspect of Game of Thrones, or at least the Song of Fire and Ice books, for someone who has read all the books. It's not easy being a genius, but it's the burden I bear. It's the bag of bricks I carry. For the people. To be clear, I'm not saying Tyrion is invincible and above death. He can certainly die. I just didn't think George R.R. Martin would have Tyrion go out the way Season 4 looked like it was gonna have him go out. If Tyrion actually did kill Joffrey, I feel like, yeah, sure, he could die. But since he didn't, I just don't think George R.R. Martin was gonna let Tyrion take the fall for a murder he didn't actually commit, and that would be that, and it's his favorite character. In the end, George R.R. Martin may be a literary serial killer, but he still has his favorite character, and he's not gonna have him go out like that. He's still human, believe it or not. But it was great how Tyrion got away with it. I did not know Shay was gonna be in Tywin's bed. Right when I saw that, I was like, people are going to die. And now Tyrion has 99 problems, but she ain't one. She's toast now. Who wouldn't choke her out? Screw that noise. Point the finger at him in that trial that reminded me of the Chrono Trigger trial, and she was like, he ate the meat after fighting Gatto. And Tywin convinced her to do it all consensually from the waist down. Nope, yeah, waste her. So now she's toast, and he takes his crossbow and he finds Tywin taking his shit. Yeah, Tywin's all watching YouTube videos and tweeting on the toilet, and Tyrion's like, nah, shoots him a couple times with that crossbow, just pow, pow, and you're like, good job, Tyrion. For you. Yeah, you may have found out that chick you loved was banging your dad, and then your dad's always been a dick. All these bad things happen, but you know what? In the end, you got yours. I guess technically the phrase would be Tywin got his. Point is, I love Tywin. He was a great character. I didn't expect him to die, and now he's dead. Time is truly the great equalizer in Westeros. Cersei Lannister's children are all technically Lannister inbred children, but legally they are Baratheons. So they're not gonna carry on the Lannister name. Jaime Lannister is not gonna carry on the Lannister name. He can't marry, you know, he swore all that shit off. Tyrion Lannister might. Something tells me he's not going to go under the Lannister name since he is sentenced to die. And if he does still go under Tyrion Tyrion Lannister is going to be someplace kind of far away, probably. And Cersei Lannister is not going to marry Sir Loras. Yeah, by Tyrion killing Tywin, ultimately, he did do Cersei as solid. Ultimately, no one's going to carry on the Lannister name past this current generation. So yeah, there was no red wedding for the Lannisters, but ultimately, it's the same effect as the Rains of Castamere. No one will remember their name eventually, and it'll all just be gone. That's right, time itself is the swift hand of stark justice. That or a crossbow to the chest while someone's taking a shit. That works. If for nothing else, this season left off with me going, what's next season? It really feels like this transition. You know, Arya's going to the Valamagulis people. She's gonna find like the faceless dude again, hopefully, that'd be awesome. That dude's bad. He was one of the coolest characters ever in the show. For all we know, the Hound's dead. If the Hound lives, that will be the second most unbelievable thing that has happened now in Game of Thrones. Yeah, that includes skeletons rising from the dead and shit. Tyrion's going, and then Varys, he hears the bells and he gets back on the ship. I don't know if Varys got back on the ship to make sure Tyrion got to his destination safely, or if he was like, there is still a person or two who knows that I got Tyrion out of there, so I'm gonna leave. In either case, he's going with Tyrion to wherever, which makes me go, is it going to be as interesting? Tyrion is so good in King's Landing that him anywhere else, I don't know if it'll be as interesting. Who knows, maybe he'll meet up with Khaleesi's ex-friend zone. They'll be like,
Tyrion Lannister, let's take Khaleesi's dragons and go to King's Landing and take it for ourselves and suckle on some teats.
I also like this season because of Khaleesi's campaign. Khaleesi's campaign, to be clear, is like the biggest dick tease ever. We just want to see dragons wreck shit, and wreck shit more than sheep and you know, kids that apparently fall from the sky because one eats them and burns them. We want to see Khaleesi take King's Landing. That would be awesome. In the end, she's over there hanging out with her crew and stuff. But up until now, everyone's just kind of been like, oh, Khaleesi will follow you, and she's a fan favorite, you know, she's this really strong female character, and at the end of season 3, everyone's hoisting her on her back. It pans up, it's this big circle, and everyone's like, oh, you're Jesus, you're awesome, and I'm like, we get it, but it's almost nauseating at this point. It's too easy for her. It's like she's too perfect of a person. Give her some adversity. More than little weird warlocks in a place called Karth. I mean, real political shit. And this one it was like, oh yeah, Khaleesi, you wanted to do all that justice, so you just mass slaughtered all those masters. Yeah, my dad was one of them. He was a good guy. You're a dick. And she's run into more of that, and I like that shit, because I'm like, yeah, it's tough, isn't it, kiddo? And in the end, it's not gonna matter, because it looks like shit's coming from the north, and I'm actually more interested in the shit in the north than I've ever been in the history of Game of Thrones. Thank you, season finale, for doing that. I love what that elder elf guy in the north told Bran. He said something along the lines of, you will never walk, but you will fly. Bran can control animals. Dragons are in the world. Dragons are animals. I think Bran's gonna control the dragon. All we know is Tyrion lives another day, and that's never bad. I just now hope Tyrion's campaign, as it is from here on, is still as interesting. Nothing's worse than when a character lives and he's useless now, especially when he's such a cool character like Tyrion Lannister. All right, so the Game of Thrones season finale for season 4 and season 4 in general. What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.